Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weatherwatch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast for the next week ahead, recorded on Wednesday, the 22nd of October. Let's have a look at the satellite and lightning map. All that energy that was over South Australia yesterday, now moving into New South Wales, Victoria, the ACT, and Tassie, and we're also seeing a few isolated thunderstorms in parts of Queensland, and the tail of this convergence is around the Northern Territory, where there are thunderstorms and downpours this morning, although some of that has eased since the sun came up. Around Western Australia, yes, there are a couple of showers around, but it's mostly dry and the winds are a lot lighter, and there's a far less energy occurring over there than versus these eastern areas as low pressure starts to form. There is that low around Bass Strait. Now, as that deepens today, it's going to create a surge of very windy weather along the coastline, mostly of Victoria, as it moves along eastwards today. So this is sort of later on into the afternoon, low pressure in Bass Strait, high pressure building in southern parts of Western Australia. But the Misery Index, very useful to see where it's hot and cold. And the interesting thing about this map is on the hills and ranges west of Melbourne, temperatures tonight could be down around zero, or at least getting close to the feels like temperature of zero. You've got this cold southerly coming through, but ahead of it, parts of New South Wales and certainly in Queensland feeling the heat. And in fact, the yellow shading, 40 degrees and above, pretty hot weather for parts of Queensland in October in southern parts of the state. But you can see the colder change sweeping through right over the top of New South Wales. So your temperatures will drop and that heat will ease as we go through today and tonight. Here's the wind gust map for southern parts of Australia. Now, this could stretch back into South Australia, go up to New South Wales and the ACT. But the bulk of the energy, the main concern is really just coastal areas and a little bit further inland, which could affect Ballarat and Melbourne and Bendigo, areas like that, getting some gusty conditions, especially around the hills and ranges as this moves along quite quickly along the southern coastline today and tonight. And by tomorrow, it's gone. It's over towards New Zealand. They've got a storm tomorrow, a significant one hitting the South Island in particular. Already seen winds in New Zealand over 200 kilometres an hour in the last day. Very windy stuff. But the winds are easing here in Australia. High pressure is growing in the south. We've got a few showers for Victoria, a couple of lingering showers around New South Wales, possibly still heavy with a thunderstorm. And around Tasmania, west to southwest winds blowing through for the bit of wet weather around. Into Queensland, mostly dry, but still hot. The red tropical boundary is still around. And we've still got some leftover thunderstorms and showers around the Northern Territory, a little bit going into Western Australia, where there is some sinking low pressure, but colder weather offshore. The blue circle you see there, that is basically the polar boundary higher up in the atmosphere coming through. And so even though it's shrinking and it's just a small bit left over in the atmosphere, it just shows you that it will be colder. And when you've got cold air aloft and showers bubbling up in it, can make for hail and thunderstorms. So just keep an eye on that one in the southwest corner on Friday. But that low pressure zone in Western Australia starts to drift into South Australia, along with the tropical boundary being dragged southwards. So a classic mix of cold wintry weather on one side of Western Australia, hot tropical heat dropping down, so we'll see showers and thunderstorms, windier weather kicking in around Ceduna in South Australia, but light winds in many other places, a few showers in western parts of Tassie, and a couple of showers around Queensland and north of the Sunshine Coast. Otherwise, fairly dry along the eastern side, making up for the weather you're getting today, I guess. As we go into the weekend, this low gets larger over the Great Australian Bight. Spinning around down here, drives in a southerly for Western Australia's southern half. And then as you go into South Australia, another area of low pressure means you'll see some showers and thunderstorms moving through with northerlies and northwesterlies around the Adelaide area. Some of those showers just spilling over into Victoria, otherwise dry. Dry for most of the main centres in Tassie, except for a few western showers. And most of New South Wales and Queensland are dry as well. Might be a couple of showers, maybe heavier up around the southeast corner of Queensland, but New South Wales seeing some very dry, calm conditions following today's wet weather. Now, as we go to Sunday, we've got the severe weather box back due to low pressure in this zone, driving in heavy rain and thunderstorms coming through for parts of Victoria on Sunday. And you're also seeing some of those heavy downpours moving into New South Wales, especially on the western side of the Great Dividing Range. So that's worth monitoring for parts of New South Wales and Victoria, maybe the ACT, you're sort of on the edge of it. And as you come up towards the northern rivers and into Queensland, you could be getting some thunderstorms in there as well. On the border of the tropical heat boundary, This is a bit of a thunderstorm outbreak around parts of Queensland and the Northern Territory still, but it looks as though that southeast corner of Queensland and the northeast corner of New South Wales may see some thunderstorms, as may parts of South Australia, with the colder southerly change blowing through for you. Now by Monday, the polar boundary comes right in and across Victoria. In fact, it even comes into the border of New South Wales, which means Tasmania's got wintry conditions. On Monday, it'll be much colder for you. I think the maximum temperature in Melbourne on Monday is only about 14 degrees, so not exactly warm. And that colder weather could even push right through into South Australia as well. So not just that one area where you see the blue boundary, but it could go beyond that for a time. We will lock that in with a bit more detail in the next couple of days. They're also seeing showers and maybe some thunderstorms on the western side of the Great Dividing Range or over the top of it for New South Wales. And then once you come into Queensland, again, thunderstorm risks here around the southeast corner and further inland. It's a little hit and miss. It doesn't look as dramatic as it did yesterday, but you are still seeing some shower or thunderstorm potential in Queensland, whereas Western Australia mostly dry, although there could still be some showers here in the south. And as we go to Tuesday of next week, the severe weather box indicating the chance of severe thunderstorms. And that could be lining up along the central Queensland coastline. This is an easterly or northeasterly coming off the sea, high pressure to the south, so basically an easterly flow across a large portion of Australia here on Tuesday. So we'll be monitoring that to see if this gets a little bigger. As I said yesterday, don't get too excited if you need rain. There are some large dry areas. Not everyone's in for rain, even within that box. It's just showing though that's the area where we're most likely to be seeing it. But there's still a bit of uncertainty about next week, as you probably noticed comparing it from yesterday's video. High pressure down here, if it expands a bit more, that will alter what you see up here to the north. So a couple of showers in the east, could be some thunderstorms as well that form around the hills and ranges. And we've got the polar boundary still stuck here over the top of Hobart, so it won't be very warm on Tuesday either, although hopefully as that high moves in, temperatures will lift up. They will lift up in Western Australia's southern coastline. I'm sorry I don't talk so much about those of you in the Midwest, but there hasn't been a lot of weather to really sort of change things in that zone. But the tropical red boundary does sink further, which means those of you in the Midwest will feel that heat increasing on Tuesday of next week. And that's all from me for today. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for all the comments. Sorry we can't always reply to them all. I try my best to. Sometimes just get a bit busy, especially when we've got big storms here in New Zealand, which we do at the moment. All the best for the rest of today. I'll see you again tomorrow with our next Australia Only update.